essentially what I would call a mini recession. And that's really not because of Jupiter itself. It's because whenever Jupiter and Saturn get together, it causes a sort of a shock to the markets. I've noticed this phenomenon happening several times in the past. And so it's essentially Jupiter's optimism tends to hit this brick wall of Saturn pessimism, and Ketu is also a psychological planet, and so people tend to feel down or feel a little bit depressed about the future. That'll pass after February. Everything will stabilize around February of next year, and I think what you're going to see, especially because Ketu's involved, is some kind of a misunderstanding. I mean, a severe misunderstanding with China. Now, one thing I would like to point out, although I'm not crazy about being accurate about these things, is we did have the shootings in Texas, and we had the shootings the same day. I believe it was in Dayton, and just about a few days ago, we had some shootings I believe it was in Pennsylvania. And I can remember one of the astrocartography lines going through that particular part of the country, and I remember mentioning that. The other thing that happened was we've had some events happen in Russia, which I did predict a few months ago. Some of these events are happening a little bit after I said they would happen, but pretty much they're within about a 2-week perimeter. The ones in Pennsylvania were just like right on the money. I identified the date, but a lot of astrologers did too. So I can't say I'm special in that regard. The other thing we have to look at over the next couple of weeks is, let me just get this, or at least in September. Although September is going to be a better month, than August, and October is going to be a really good month. So, all right. So we have. Oh, that's right. Brazil was the other place that I mentioned, and there was a bus incident. There was a shooting on a bus in Brazil. All right. So Brazil is still having its share of problems. Venezuela is definitely having its share of problems over the next couple of months. The other part I'd be worried about, again, is Texas up through Dakota, North Dakota, and let me just go down a little bit. We have some nasty Saturn Rahu lines going through southern France, Central Europe, more or less. Not Eastern Europe, but Central Europe, and again, some more civil unrest in the Soviet Union is not going to be a big surprise. Western Turkey got hit by earthquakes, or I believe it was Central Turkey got hit by earthquakes. Western Turkey is going to be hit, I think, in this case, and there is some disturbances a little bit to the east of Japan. Some disturbances or some violence to the east of Japan. If we're looking at positive places, there'll actually be some better news coming out of Iraq, and some better news coming out of Saudi Arabia, but also some violence coming out of Saudi Arabia, unfortunately. The major thing to keep in mind is that when you're looking at these lines, unless you look at the actual charts of the country, it's a little bit difficult to assess whether or not they're going to hit strongly. But Brazil and Venezuela look, and Guinea look like they're in real trouble. And Uruguay has some problems as well. So I'd keep my eye on those parts of the world. The other thing that I wanted to mention was we have people born in Jupiter's in Scorpio right now, so people born with like prominent Scorpios or with planets in Scorpio in the Vedic system are going to have a relatively good couple of months because of Jupiter being in Scorpio, even though it's towards the end of Scorpio. And that's November 15th to December 15th. People from December 15th to January 15th are still going to have a really difficult time, really until around October at least, and a lot of relationship problems. People born between January 15th and February 15th will have to worry about health problems and even lawsuits. But this could end up being non-consequential because their house of luck is pretty good, so there may actually be nothing happening to them. People born between February 15th and March 15th are Aquarius, and those people have a lot of relationship opportunities coming in, maybe even confusion about relationship potentials, and also some arguments with relationship partners. People born between March 15th and April 15th will be Pisces. Again, health issues, especially connected with acid reflux and digestion are problem areas. And people born between April 15th and May 15th are going to have some problems with children, although some children, eldest children will do very well, middle child will do fairly well, youngest child will have a lot of difficulty if that shows up. Also, they'll have difficulties at work, people with strong Aries, because they'll have some blockages or some interruptions. Aries, people with strong Aries, their time to shine really comes next year in February of 2020. Taurus, Sun, Moon, Rising, that's May 15th to June 15th, will have reasonably good luck over the next few months. Although a lot more arguments than usual at home. People born between June 15th and July 15th will have a lot of dissatisfaction with their personal life, a lot of desire for change, a lot of desire for new adventures. That's going to continue really until next year. And again, not really a lot of relationship luck, or relationship luck will seem a little bit less than exciting to them. People who are born between July 15th and August 15th will have a lot of intelligent thought, a lot of financial prosperity, a lot of good financial luck. People born between August 15th and September 15th, they'll be shining. Those people will actually be shining right now. They have a lot of attention on them. They have a lot of good financial luck, a lot of good personal luck, even a lot of good romantic luck. People born between September 15th and October 15th, they'll have a lot of expenses. Maybe they'll feel a little bit hidden away or a little bit isolated, but they will have some financial gains to make up for that. And people born between October 15th and November 15th will have Jupiter in the second house, so their financial life should be better. They will have a lot of new friends, new gains, new positions of authority. It's a good time if they're trying to go for something to improve their position in life, even though they may not feel very motivated right now. It's a really good time to do it. So that's an overall assessment of the signs over the next couple of months. The other thing I like to keep in mind, I'd like you to keep in mind when you're looking at these videos is, overall, these videos are intended for educational purposes. They're not intended to be an actual prediction of what's happening in your life personally. I have gotten feedback from people saying that the forecasts have been spot on. Essentially it really hit them where they live, but there's no substitute for a professional analysis by a competent astrologer. It doesn't have to be me, it can be somebody else. But essentially, these are, when I'm giving these things, these are general indications. These aren't specific to your particular situation. So these will represent broad opportunities. The eclipse points in particular, when I focus on them, they hit a wide range of people. So eclipse points are a little bit different. So between June and July, those eclipse points were really important. But when we're talking about the more specific points right now, and Gemini and Sagittarius and Vedic are still going to confront a lot of personal issues over the next few months, just because of what's placed in those signs. But if you really want to get a good examination, get a chart done, get a reading. I'm not advocating for readings. If you don't feel like you want to get a reading, don't get a reading. But I think it might be fruitful to you, and you might learn a lot about yourself in the course of a reading. And the main point to a reading is for it to help you, so don't let anybody make you feel bad about yourself from a reading or in any other way. Okay, my name is Gary Gomes. This video will be on YouTube. We have a store in New Bedford, Crystal Expectations. We've been there 30 years, and I've been doing this for about 30 years, so it's always a pleasure to come in front of the camera and share this information with you. All right, that'll be it from me for this week. Namaste and have a great week.